Today is World AIDS Day. The World AIDS Day comes 40 years after the U.S. Centers for Disease Control and Prevention officially reported the first case. President Biden delivered remarks today acknowledging not only those we've lost to HIV, but the resilience of the HIV community. He also unveiled a new national HIV/AIDS strategy. So it's 40 years since the first AIDS cases were first reported. Now President Biden is marking this with a new strategy. The strategy includes preventing new HIV infections, improving health outcomes for people with HIV, reducing health inequity, and establishing a more coordinated effort to address the pandemic. Now, in its new HIV/AIDS strategy, the Biden administration calls racism a public health threat, which I believe it is. Mm-hmm. I don't know if it's overt racism, but it's like the underlying racism that, there's no question that minorities and, I guess structural would be the word I'm looking for. Because there's no question that minorities, black skin, brown skin people, their health outcomes are different than white skinned people. Mm-hmm. So if you look at it, why, if we all have a heart, we all have 5 fingers, mm-hmm. we all have 2 eyes, a nose, and a mouth, and 2 ears.
10 fingers.
10 fingers. What did I say?
5 fingers.
Well, 5 fingers per hand.
One hand.
We're all basically the same, other than for a pigment change in a skin. Mm-hmm. Why, statistically, is it always year after year after year in the United States that black and brown skinned people have different medical outcomes than white-skinned people?
Yeah.
Mortality rates, everything. Mm-hmm. Life expectancy. Why? Why? I'm asking.
That's a good question.
I don't know obviously, if, from 50,000 feet up in the air, it's obviously something structural going on. Mm-hmm. Okay? How do you fix it? How do you fix it?
Yeah.
I don't know the answer. Well, at least one thing about Joe Biden, at least he's calling it as it is.
Yeah, at least he is raising awareness.
He's raising awareness of it. He's raising awareness of it. He's bringing it to the forefront. Mm-hmm. That there's a number of priority populations that are being left behind in this AIDS epidemic, including black women, trans women, people ages 13 to 24, people who inject drugs, and black, Latino, and American Indian, Alaskan Native men.
Yeah, like we said, it's raising awareness. We're finding out about different plans that they, that are in the works, like the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation. They are actually collaborating on a vaccine against HIV. So, we wouldn't know all this unless,
Yeah. Well, what they're using is the new Moderna mRNA vaccinations, where what Moderna does and Pfizer does is, rather than putting in an actual virus that's dead that would cause an antibody response, the mRNA tells your DNA to actually make an antibody to fight this.
Yeah.
So they feel that using this new mRNA technology, which, by the way, first time it was ever used in a human being was for COVID. So something came out of COVID. Right. So something good came out of it, because they say, this mRNA works.
It works.
And maybe, if we can tell the body to make an antibody against COVID, we can also tell the body to make an antibody against HIV. So,
but my opinion and my,
tell me your opinion.
I feel like they could have did this a long time ago.
You know what? If you asked me 2 years ago, I would have said, that sounds very conspiracy theory of you, Yo-Yo. But now, when I see how fast they were able to end COVID, which is a virus too. Now, not as complicated a virus, because it's more like a flu cold virus than it is. HIV seems to be a much more complicated virus. But they were able to end...
It's still a virus.
Right. They were correct. They were able to stop this virus with not only a vaccine, but also they're now coming out with pills for cures. All within 2 years.
Yeah.
But they weren't able to do anything for a they came up with pills for HIV to keep people alive for their life and treat it like a long-term, medical issue, kind of like diabetes.
And now they recently, within the past couple of years, came out with pills to help prevent you from catching
Correct.
it.
But
it's
now,
all recent.
Yeah, but now looking how fast they
did.
did it for COVID, you say to yourself, maybe Yo-Yo, and I don't know for sure because I'm not a scientist and I don't know what they're doing, but maybe if they put the money and effort behind what they did for COVID than they did for AIDS, we'd have a lot more people alive.
I agree.
So the Bill and Melinda Gates Foundation is providing funding for the collaboration between Scripps and Moderna. Moderna is the company that came out with one of the vaccines. Scripps is a research company in La Jolla, California, that is also working on HIV, the HIV infection. It has invested $52 million in CureVac in 2015. CureVac is perhaps one of the ways that they're going to try to combat HIV. But you want to know what? $52 million is a lot of money. They put billions and 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 a ton of billions in COVID.
Yeah.
They can put a little more.
I agree.
Thanks for watching. For more Brad Show Live, like and subscribe to our YouTube channel.